Welcome back to Sports Banter. This is Bryce, and today we're talking about AEW Dynamite post-game show. Now, Luca is not joining me this week. He is busy with real-life commitments. So let's talk about Dynamite, just you and me. You and me. You sit down, you watch Dynamite, hopefully. If not, we have some recap for you. So the first match was Jon Moxley going against Yuji Nagata in the IWGP United States Championship match. And man, did it remind me of New Japan. This match was hard-hitting, very action-packed, very in-ring oriented. No crazy high spots, no dives to the outside. This was very old school and very New Japan-like. Feels like a New Japan fight. So Moxley comes out to Wild Things, which is homage to Moxley's respect for Atsushi Onita. So that was Atsushi Onita's theme. Moxley using it as like an homage. Also having respect for another Japanese legend, Yuji Nagata. That's why he used the theme. It's probably not permanent. People were really in a disarray about it on Twitter. It's not that big of a deal. He's using it once. Like, I get it. It's not really a good fit for Moxley in my mind, but I mean, it's good. I like it. Maybe too, since this is being aired on New Japan World, maybe AEW would not let New Japan have the rights to Moxley's AEW theme song. So that might be another reason why the theme change happened. That's what I thought at first it was. I thought it was because since it's probably airing on New Japan World, since it's an IWGP United States Championship match, and for some reason New Japan AEW wasn't using the New Japan theme for Moxley, which I think is kind of better. That's a personal opinion. But enough about entrance music. This match was awesome. It was one of my favorite of the night. Probably my second, maybe third favorite match of the night. There's three matches that I really, really enjoyed. And you could probably guess that, yeah, it's the three championship matches which are the best. And after the match, I really liked Moxley wins with Death Rider and the respect shown by him and Yuji Nagata. I'm glad they captured that on Dynamite because it really shows the respect that Moxley has for a Japanese legend like Yuji Nagata. So after the match, we had Alex Marvez interviewing Ortiz, Sammy Guevara, and Jake Hager. And we learned that Santana seems to be arrested and Chris Jericho's hurt, so there's only 3 members of the Inner Circle. Yet they're going to challenge the Pinnacle to a rematch. And more on that later tonight. And then we get to the very controversial promo from Cody Rhodes about his Double or Nothing announcement. And something that people didn't like it. I personally enjoyed it. I don't think it was that bad. I look through Twitter. Some of the most common questions are, why is this an American promo? Well, if you remember from last week, Anthony Ogogo laid the British flag on Cody Rhodes' body as he gut punched him. There's an obvious reason that this is a pro-American promo. Like, people think that this is out of the blue. It's not. It makes sense. And for that, it's good. I don't think this was one of his best promos because one of the criticisms that I agree with is that it was a little long. It was a little long-winded. But I still think it had a good purpose, and it was amazing. It was not amazing, but I mean, it was good. You can feel the passion. Yes, Cody Rhodes might have said some things that were a little weird. A little questionable, too. But people thought this was a train wreck. People thought this was extremely cringe. I disagree. I don't think it was that level of bad. I think it was a pretty good promo from Cody. It's hard for Cody to have a bad promo. And as long as he sticks with the topic at hand, Cody Rhodes doesn't go wrong with the promo. And I certainly stand by that statement after his promo tonight. And you know the whole payoff? Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Ogogo at Double or Nothing. Now, although I didn't want for this promo to happen because obviously Cody Rhodes is winning now, I would have liked, a Go-Go to win, but it's Cody Rhodes. He doesn't lose the big matches. And hopefully, like QT, he's putting over the younger talent. Also with Cody, he's going to go with the American Dream moniker that, his father, Dusty Rhodes, used. And obviously, we know why. It's American versus British match kind of thing. That's what they're going for. At least they're not doing a flag match. So there are more things to really complain about. Next match on the card was the Young Bucks versus SoCal Uncensored for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And unsurprisingly, this match was really good. I don't understand the people on Twitter hating on the Young Bucks matches. This one was good. Heck, all of the Young Bucks matches that we've had since they turned heel have been very good matches on Dynamite. This was no different. This was obviously a blood feud because these two teams have had years and years of history with each other. So, obviously, the high stakes of this match, combined with the championship, combined with if SCU loses, they disband as a team, this match was going to be awesome. And it was. I know people criticize the blood packet, whatever was used for Christopher Daniels. It was a lot of blood, yes. I think that it did its purpose, though. I didn't completely hate it. It just did its job well. There's nothing too wrong with that. I also love Frankie Kazarian's Styles Clash, maybe to reference Bullet Club, or maybe even what I first thought was that maybe Kazarian used it as kind of a signal to Gallows interfering, kind of a callback to the OC in WWE. We don't know. But yeah, the blood feud was pretty good. Like, the blood spot was pretty good. And I liked how, I know this wasn't intentional, it was an obvious botch, but how Christopher Daniels botched the best moonsault ever because he was completely bloodied. It made it feel believable. It wasn't like, okay, it wasn't completely laughable. There was a similar botch last week with Sammy Guevara in the Blood and Guts match. He slipped on his own blood. And that's what Christopher Daniels did too. It's an understandable botch. And so, like last week when I said it was understandable, this week's no different. I mean, if anything, it's more understandable. Christopher Daniels was bleeding profusely. So, of course, he slipped. And the Young Bucks, they did what they said they would and won with the BT trigger. This wasn't a bad ending. Come on. People just think that because it ended clean. I don't understand. The match wasn't like the others. Yes, there was a little bit of a distraction, but the Young Bucks actually won with the BT trigger, and the heel tactic was used a couple minutes earlier instead of a couple seconds earlier in the other matches. So this match overall was not bad. It was my maybe it was my favorite match of the night. I'm still kind of deciding between this one and the main event. But what I don't like was that AEW skipped over kind of the ending of SCU, the splitting up between the Addiction, Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. I wish there was more of a split. There was more time just put to the split because this is like 15, 20 years of history being broken up by the Young Bucks. And the fact that the AEW crew didn't really highlight that I didn't like that. I think, and it's something that's been on my mind for a couple weeks, is that AEW, after matches, really cut through stuff. I really wish that, Tony Khan would cut it down a little bit on the cutting straight after the match. I know we're trying to save minutes, but at the same time, it just feels rushed and less organic. It makes, less match feel important. Oh, we're going to cut to this next match. And then you completely just forget. It's as if this is just another piece of the puzzle, and that the main event is the only thing that really should stick out, except that the main event gets cut off because the time is up for Dynamite. I really don't like that, and that's a common gripe that I have with AEW at the moment. So, and better off, they cut off to Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley tearing up the Elite's locker room. We didn't have to rush to that, but that's what happened, and this would set up a promo later on, which I pretty much enjoyed. But we went to commercial, and after we came back, we see Christian Cage continuing his feud with Team Taz. The back and forth, as I noted last week, the back and forth between Christian Cage and Taz, I really enjoy it. It's some good stuff. And Christian Cage announces that he's in the Casino Battle Royal. And that's going to be exciting. Also, Matt Sydal is another member in the Casino Battle Royal. And these two are going to have a match next week on Dynamite. I'm excited to see where that goes. And we move on to the World Championship Eliminator match between Orange Cassidy and Pac. I love the fast-paced action for this matchup. How Orange Cassidy hits Beach Break right off the bat, and Pac kicks out at 2. And the thing that killed the match for me a little bit, it was one of my lesser favorite matches. It's because of the picture-in-picture. And that's another gripe that I have with AEW. They do the picture-in-picture, at least to me, kind of kills the momentum of a match just because you don't have the audio in it. And so it's a lot easier for me. This might be a thing with me, but the common thing with viewers nowadays is that after commercial breaks, people cut away. People look at their phones. They become distracted. They don't pay attention to the product. And the thing with this match, too, is that there were 2 picture-in-pictures. And it really kind of killed the momentum for this match. It was a good match. There was nothing bad about it. It's just the picture-in-picture kind of kills the excitement for this one. So after the first commercial break, we come back, and Jim Ross talks about the kiss your sister finish. And that, I get what it means, but it's kind of a weird thing to say on live television. So that was probably one of my favorite lines of the match. And I like kind of the point of the match was so that Orange Cassidy was slowly pissing off Pac more and more to where Pac would make a mistake and Orange Cassidy would take advantage. Now, this is where the match, I get it, but it's still, I felt AEW would be different with these distraction finishes. Don Callis comes out distracting Pac, and we soon know that we know why this is happening. And I'm a little more okay that it ended in JR's kiss your sister finish with a double count out, double knockout tie. I like that a little better than if I thought the original direction was that Kenny was letting Orange Cassidy win so that there would be, Kenny thinks he has an easy time against Orange Cassidy and is proven wrong. But no, Kenny was actually going for the double count out so that he wouldn't have to fight at Double or Nothing. But, Tony Khan, talking through the earpiece, tells Tony Schiavone that this match is a 3-way match. Kenny Omega versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy. And I really like this. This is different. I think this is the first AEW Championship match that's not a singles match. So that's going to be very exciting to see. Something new and something refreshing. So after that, we have the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers finding their locker room. And I love these two chemistry. Man, they do some good promos together. I don't know. Gallows, he was really distraught about how they're going to praise the Lord together in that circle. Man, I really loved that line. It was just so funny. And the Young Bucks, they challenged the Varsity Blondes, who are going to be the #1 contenders for the World Tag Team Championships. So be on the lookout for that match next week. That one, in my opinion, is going to be good. However, knowing Twitter, people are going to crap on it. And the Young Bucks also challenge Moxley and Kingston to a match of Double or Nothing in a Super Kick Party match. We'll have to see if that's an actual match or if it's just a tag team match. And even if it's for the titles. We still don't know any of that yet. But, you have a couple weeks left until the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. So it all remains to be seen. After that, Alex Marvez interviews Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order. And this is when Hangman challenges Brian Cage to step up like a man, quit Team Taz, and face him in a one-on-one match at Double or Nothing. Later we learn Brian Cage is going to face Adam Page at Double or Nothing, but right now Taz is still with him in his corner. We'll have to see where that goes. maybe there's going to be a breakup. I'm not sure if I really want to see it yet between Cage and Team Taz, as I think Brian Cage fits perfectly with the Team Taz mindset here. But maybe it's something that'll culminate at Double or Nothing. Next, we have the coronation of the Pinnacle, and another segment in which people hated. But before I say anything, it's something that we need to understand about wrestling is that it's repeated. People steal from each other all the time. I'm not sitting here expecting them to hit an original idea. Yes, All Elite Wrestling did use a WWE-esque storyline for this night. Yes, I know. WWE with the beer truck was Stone Cold. I know they repeated history. However, the thing about wrestling, people steal moves, people steal gimmicks all the time, but they really reshape it and make it better. And I truly think that the Inner Circle coming out in the bubbly truck was good. It was great. I enjoyed it. And I'm not too much of a fan of the Pinnacle's comedy at the beginning. King Maxwell saying, no, they're not going to have a rematch. I don't know. The comedy there was all right. I liked Tully Blanchard kind of hyping up the Pinnacle. But the real fun came with Inner Circle dousing the Pinnacle with the bubbly. And of course, Maxwell, Jacob Friedman, all distraught, accepts their match request. And it's going to be a Stadium Stampede match again. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. Thought they'd only do this thing once. Something that kind of doesn't excite me is that it's going to be pre-taped, probably. I don't expect this to be live. And given that Double or Nothing is going to be full crowd capacity, don't know if I really want to see a taped match on a live pay-per-view with full crowds again. But, WWE's done this before. It's nothing new. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just a little disappointing for me. And, of course, if the Inner Circle lose the match, they have to disband forever. It kind of makes me think that the Inner Circle is going to win this match. I don't think that AEW would really break up this team, but as we've seen in this company before, crazier things have happened. So after that, Jim Ross interviews Britt Baker. Britt Baker, her usual self, is so entertaining, and we love to see it. Next, we have a squash match between Thunder Rosa and Jasmine Allure, something that could have used a picture-in-picture, could have taken away a picture-in-picture from the Orange Cassidy Pac match that, to me, killed this momentum a little bit. Like, come on, do we really need to watch all of Thunder Rosa versus Jasmine Allure in full screen? I don't think so. All we need with Thunder Rosa is we're getting her on Dynamite and we're giving her a win. That's it. Anyways, Jade Gargel, her interview with Tony Schiavone also got nothing done in my mind. And I get it with the last match, Thunder Rosa, you got to put the women on TV, but in a squash match, I don't know about that. At least next week, they're doing an NWA Championships match. NWA Women's Championship match between Serena Deeb, who's returning, and I'm excited for that, versus Red Velvet. That's going to be a pretty banger match. But this Jade Gargel interview, nothing got done. It just showed us that, hey, did you watch Elevation? No? Well, look, Mark Sterling, the lawyer for MJF, is offering Jade Gargel, money, offering to pay her. It's a cool storyline, but the interview got nothing done. I mean, we know Jade Gargel's her own girl. We know that she's her own person. Why did we have to hear this again? Because AEW is filling time, which could have been used for a commercial. But look, all my complaints are just very little things. And then we get to the main event. And the main event was awesome. It was hard for me to believe when I saw the graphic that Miro's been in the company since last September, and this is his first title match. But man, Darby's face paint looked amazing, and so did Miro's gear. This match before was awesome. I was so hyped for this one, and Miro beats the crap out of Darby Allin before the bell rings, and this is the Miro we all wanted to see. I love Miro's attitude. I love how he feels that he was underrated. I love how he said that into the camera. And man, this was a beating. And then, Darby starts to come back. I got a little nervous that, Darby Allin might retain. No way that AEW would do this. The cannonball tope from Darby Allin looked so badass. Looked like it kind of hurt for him, but just for the spot of it all was awesome. And the fact that this match was a scrappy match, I loved it. It just screamed, these men are both fighting for the title, and that they will do anything to win the title. And the near falls in this match also made me a little nervous. Miro really had a couple of spots where he kicked out at 2.999. It was so close. And wow, Miro beats Darby Allin by choking him out. And man, that shocked me, all right? Because, yes, I thought Miro was going to win, but I had that sliver of thought in the back of my mind that AEW would let Darby Allin retain. So to see Miro tap out Darby Allin in the center of the ring, that was just fantastic. It was a great match. I enjoyed it. Might have been my second favorite match. Second or first. Definitely not the third, though. I mean, all three of the championship matches were fantastic on this show. We only had 5 real matches on this show. And besides the squash match, I think they all delivered. They all did their job. And there was a lot in the ending, which wasn't totally bad, but it was a little confusing given that the match ended a minute before they were supposed to go off the air. So, all right, I'll try my best to recap this. Miro chokes out Darby Allin. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky then go to attack Sting. The Dark Order comes out and helps Sting. With watching BTE, the Dark Order are very unsure if they're with Sting, if they're against Sting, if they're friends, if they're not. Maybe this is the Dark Order's kind of chance to extend the olive branch to Sting. We won't know because there wasn't enough time in the show. Lance Archer comes out right after that, challenges Miro with a stare. I am so excited to see this match. Hopefully we see it a Double or Nothing. I wouldn't be opposed to a match on Dynamite, but man, put this match on Double or Nothing. It will be a banger of a match. And dude, Double or Nothing's going to be awesome. Hangman Adam Page versus the Machine Brian Cage. Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida. Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy versus Pac for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Kingston and Mox versus the Young Bucks. And then Miro and Lance Archer going one-on-one. This pay-per-view. And then I didn't even mention the Stadium Stampede match. This pay-per-view is going to be awesome. I am so excited for it. And just before we go, gotta just run through the matches for next week. We have Serena Deeb versus Red Velvet in the NWA Women's Championship match. I think that's going to be a really, really good match. And it's going to put the women back on the map. Just like Riho versus... I forget who exactly was in the match. It might have been Riho versus Serena Deeb. One of the better matches on Dynamite. It's going to be another Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker unsanctioned match, which was awesome. This is going to be another match that I think puts the women's division on the map. We also have the Young Bucks versus the Varsity Blondes. I think it's going to be an underrated match. It's going to be really good. Christian Cage versus Matt Sydal. Christian Cage is going to win. No way Matt Sydal is going to win. But it's a great, feud to look back on, given that they were both in the WWE in the past. And then you have Anthony Ogogo versus Austin Gunn. No doubt in my mind that Ogogo is going to win. It's interesting to see that Ogogo is really saved for the Dynamite matches and not really appearing as a competitor on Dark or Dark Elevation. Given I haven't watched Dark from this week, so he might have competed on Dark and I just didn't see it. But I think they're really protecting Ogogo, AEW is. But that's all we have. Next week, we've got a pretty good card, not as good as this week, and obviously not as good as the Blood and Guts card. But nevertheless, next week's matchups are looking promising. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week for some AEW Dynamite post-game show. I've been Bryce, and until next time, sayonara.